That whole subculture of gamers who get offended by random little things is a polarizing and at times hypocritical one. I mean, they can be offended by a passing remark in a game like Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, for instance, or by something as innocent as the way a character poses for a victory stance. Then you've got legitimately offensive and justifiably bad taste games that kind of get under the radar. I mean, a game like Postal 2, if it was released today, would undoubtedly be in the firing line for those droves of brain-dead idiots who seem to think that white males are the worst thing since smallpox. I've taken a look at Postal 2 in the past and also other questionably offensive games as well, including mods for Doom like H-Doom and more recently the Moonman mod.
Fuck you punk ass bitch!
And look, it's pretty obvious that they're not meant to be taken seriously, which brings me on to the subject of this video, which is pol.wad for Doom 2. Much like Moonman Doom, this is a racist mod for the original game that replaces the first map entryway with a complex series of rooms where you take on an increasingly difficult series of enemies, throughout what I guess is supposed to be several stages of a metaphorical race war. Named after 4chan's subboard Pol, where you will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. Alright, look, I'm kidding around, but spend 5 minutes there and it'll definitely put this mod into perspective. Unfortunately, no one can be told what pol.wad is, you have to see it for yourself. But let me do my best at describing the absolute clusterfucking bizarrety that ensues. So starting off, things look auspicious enough. You see a partial invisibility power-up, a shotgun, and a couple of boxes of shotgun shells. If you inspect the right wall, you'll find a rocket launcher and some spare rockets, so all in all, it's not a bad start. Then you open up that first door and holy shit do things get chaotic. You're greeted by a large room with roughly 350 enemies, most of which are decked out in Nazi attire, a couple being sprites ripped from Wolfenstein 3D. Surviving this room is a combination of skill but also mainly luck. The only way I was able to get through it was to hide in the little room that had the rocket launcher and try to kill enemies before they could outnumber me. From this point, the map centers around a series of buttons locked by keycards, which you'll get as you progress through the map, all of which are defended by a large amount of enemies. You'll take on a couple dozen Shreks in the next area, then later on you'll have to fight a couple dozen if not more cacodemons, the cacodemons replaced by floating Jewish heads, obviously. Then when you return to the starting area to get the final keycard, a couple of archviles will spawn in as well, which won't waste time in reviving all the enemies you killed at the beginning of the level. It's easy to dismiss the map right off the bat for being too hard, and yeah, initially it can seem like you're not even supposed to finish it, but you are generally given the means to make it through each area. The starting room is definitely one of the most difficult, but it is still definitely passable. It just takes a lot of patience and a fair bit of skill. The room with the cacodemons as an example also seems impossible, but you really have to exploit the AI of the enemies and initially direct them to one corner, then quickly sprint out of there and continuously circle strafe to keep them at bay. You'd also be tempted to pull out a rocket launcher at this point, but hitting them with a rocket launcher has a tendency to send them flying in different directions, which makes crowd control trickier. In one of the rooms, there's a whole heap of imps and barons of hell that spawn in once you get the keycard, and it seems insurmountable. But then you notice the room is full of rocket launcher crates, and if you're quick enough, you can grab a nearby invulnerability power-up and easily clean out half of the room, if not more, before it runs out. I mean, it's like the simple placement of an item in the room that makes the difference between the game being unfair and cheap compared to it being actually genuinely challenging. And I don't know if this kind of stuff was done intentionally, but for a mod that's just created for pure shock value, it requires a lot of skill and knowing what the hell you're supposed to be doing. In fact, the ending of the map, if I can call it that, is just an opened up area where two icons of sin continue firing at enemies over and over. Barons of Hell, Cyberdemons, Archviles, Cacodemons, you name it, over and over. And you just have to kind of survive it for about 5 or so minutes until the teleporter to the end of the level appears. Overall, it's got a lot more effort put into it than a lot of those other mods we used to get for Doom. Does anyone else remember those so-called porno mods? Which all they seemed to do was replace all the textures in the maps with naked women and had a level design that felt like it was designed by a one-eyed person with dyslexia. I'd also say it's arguably less racist than Moonman mod. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a representation of a race war in the form of a Doom 2 map, but it doesn't have a protagonist that utters out racist one-liners every time he picks up a weapon or kills someone. And it lacks the various sound bites you get from enemies as well. I'd say the main downside to the mod is that it doesn't replace any of the weapons, and it also doesn't replace all of the enemy sprites as well. Now, this isn't entirely a bad thing, but it can be a little bit jarring, especially when you've got the new enemy sprites mixed in with the old ones, which just seems a little bit out of place. I'd also like if they replaced the music track as well, but then again, there's nothing wrong with a bit of Bobby Prince. If nothing else, this mod might help people ease up a little bit over the dumb shit they see on the internet, so I'd say if you're looking for a way to kill some time, then check it out. I mean, there's far worse things out there. It's a far way off running or gunning down innocent pedestrians in a game like GTA 5, or lighting someone on fire then pissing on them to put them out a la Postal 2. God, I love that game. As a funny side note, the folder for gameplay clips I captured this mod totaled exactly 6.66 gigabytes in total. But irony aside, there's not really anything inherently bad about the mod. A lot like other WADs of its kind, Moonman being the obvious comparison, it's just made to be as shocking as possible for the sake of notoriety. I think there's way worse evils on the internet, like YouTube celebrities collecting photos of 13-year-old girls in their underwear, that stupid fucking Pineapple Pen song, and people who only play a game when it's got a free weekend on Steam. Pol.wad is semi-offensive, it's quasi-offensive, it's the Diet Coke of offensive. Just 1 calorie, not quite offensive enough. But it is a challenging map and it's got a bit of value to it in that regard. And if nothing more, you can earn that much coveted edgelord status by having played and finished it.